Hi, everybody. Welcome to Illuminating Women's Coffee Break and Connect. Today, we are so excited as part of our mission in Illuminating Women is that we connect together as women because we really believe that empowering women makes stronger families and communities and our world. And we do that through a sisterhood and through education. And today, we have one of our charter members, Kitty Barren. I'm so excited to bring this woman to you. She is just, how many of you women out there find that, oh, I went this direction, I was doing this, I'm doing that, and really getting into your why of what you do, your why of your business, your why of your personal and professional goals. And this woman is kicking big time booty because she has hooked onto her why. And I've asked Kitty to come today to share with you a little bit about her story, her why, and why she's in the insurance business. And as always, because education again is so key, I asked her to give us like 3 little tips about insurance because by golly, all of us know how important insurance is. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm seeing people zipping on the road and I'm like, I'm in the right lane. I'm going to be, I don't want my insurance rates to go up. I don't want a ticket. I don't want any of that stuff. Anyway, so Kitty, welcome to this place. Thank you for sharing your heart and soul. And just let us all know a little more about you.
Oh gosh, sort of an open forum, huh? Well, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. I am, I'm tickled to be here and thrilled to see a couple of new faces and to hear sort of a little bit more about some of the new members and a couple of people that that I've really missed seeing. I've missed seeing you gals, and so thank you so much for the opportunity to do this. In fact, one of the questions just this morning was insurance, right? And you sort of get that puzzled look from the person that you're talking to, insurance, right? And, look, I don't think anybody chooses a career in insurance. Certainly that's not, when I started off with my journalism degree and I walked, down those hallowed halls of the Elliott School of Communication at Wichita State University, I don't think that I saw 35 years from now that I would be an insurance agent. But it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. So how did I end up in insurance? Well, so I have a journalism degree. And my first 5 years, I was in charge of media relations for a large medical center in Kansas. And I loved media relations. It takes the philosophy and the tenets of journalism and it just presents it in a different way. And so pretty much 30 years of my career was in media relations and communications, corporate communications. So I started off at a medical center. And then I moved to San Francisco, and my next job actually was for an organization called Inc., the Insurance Information Network of California. And what Inc. was a consortium of about 30 insurance companies who had come together to form an organization to better educate consumers about those issues that are common in the insurance industry. So not about any one of those companies, but about common issues. So earthquakes, wildfire, those kinds of things that the industry was dealing with. And I was hired as the communications director for Northern California and to work with these 30 insurance companies and various affiliated organizations like the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, and the California Earthquake Authority to put together consumer education materials, all right? So in fact, my very first event was a town hall meeting in Oakland, California, a few years after the Oakland Hills fires. And some of you may be old enough or remember the Oakland Hills fires. It was one of the first major firestorms to hit the West Coast, and about 3,000 people lost their homes. Many people lost their lives. And several years later, there were still a number of unresolved claims. There were still a number of people who still had active claims. There were a number of lawsuits against the industry. And so for me, it was quite literally trial by fire. I had to learn very, very quickly what the issues were and manage in this particular event, the very disparate um, situation between the homeowners who still had unresolved claims, who felt that the insurance industry was, not doing what they were supposed to do, and the insurance industry who felt that they had, paid the claims, had absolutely paid those claims in good faith, and that they had no more responsibility. And what I learned that day, and through my next couple of years with that organization, was that consumers often really don't know what they bought. They don't know what it covers. They don't know what to expect in the course of a claim. Many people are woefully, painfully underinsured, and they have no idea what that means to their future financial well-being. And that was what I took away from that, not only that very specific experience in that town hall meeting, but what I learned over the next couple of years with that organization, and really took to heart. And it became such an important tenet for me, for my career, to help people better understand their coverages, to better understand what they have, what it covers, what it doesn't cover, why it doesn't cover it, and to help them take responsibility for their own financial well-being, for their own financial, for making sure that they're adequately insured. And so I believe that it is your responsibility as a consumer, as an insurance consumer, to make sure that you're properly insured. It is my job to help you figure out what options are best for you, how you can afford the most insurance that you can afford, and to help you figure out what that picture looks like. And so that literally set the stage for the rest of my career. So then I went, so as you sort of look at that career trajectory, that led to, I was head of media relations for Farmers Insurance Group in Los Angeles. I did that for 3 years. We could do an entire session just on what it means to represent the nation's third largest insurance group. Let me put it this way. I had my files confiscated. I was deposed, and did a number of national interviews. Very, very fun time. But I say that tongue in cheek, by the way. But certainly one of the things that kept me grounded through all of that was, again, to make sure that my role was to help people better understand their insurance products, why they need it, what it covers, and how to manage that. From there, I went to Zurich Financial Services. I was part of the media relations team in London, and I did that for 2 years. And so then I was in Florida for a while and took a little bit of time off. But through all of that, I continued to write for the insurance industry. I just freelance. I would get calls, hey, we need somebody to write an article on fill in the blank on, the uptick in DUIs or something like that. So I continued to write. And then in 2013, we moved to Washington. And it just so happened that Farmers had, the life insurance company was out on Mercer Island. And it is funny how things sort of come back around. And what I mean by that is there were people sitting in Mercer Island that I knew from Los Angeles all those many years ago. And so I picked up the phone and I called one of them and said, hey, do you remember me? Do you remember when we worked on this project? And it was like, oh my gosh, come, let's go to coffee. And at the end of coffee, I had a job. So, and I love those sort of small world stories, right? Because it had been years since I had talked to these people, and yet I really felt like farmers sort of welcomed me with open arms. And so I was a communications manager for the life insurance company out on Mercer Island for 5 years. And so fast forward to August 2017. I'm sitting in a little nail boutique on Front Street in Issaquah. And there's this gal sitting next to me having a nice chat with the person next to her. And I'm sort of eavesdropping. And I don't mean to get emotional, but I'm not a particularly religious person. I don't even consider myself to be a spiritual person, to be honest. It's not a big part of who I am. But anybody who knows me knows that something that is so, that I believe in so passionately and deeply is our connected human experience. I truly believe in cosmic threads, that we are all connected. And sometimes we don't see those threads, we walk right by them. And sometimes we ignore them. We see them and we ignore them, right? And this particular day, Jill Nichols Hicks was sitting next to me getting her nails done. And she's having a conversation with the gal next to her about illuminating women. And I'm listening, and you know what? I could have just eavesdropped, got my nails done, and walked out. I could have, right? But something inside of me made me say, excuse me. And I interrupted Jill's conversation. And I believe that that is a cosmic thread that changed the course of my life. I interrupted a conversation, and just Jill just gave me a little bit of information about Illuminating Women. And basically what she said was, here's the Facebook page. If you send it in, if you send in the request, I'll accept you and you can learn everything you need to know there. And so I did that. And, that might have been where it ended. Again, I became a Facebook friend of Illuminating Women and kind of paid a little bit of attention there. And then on September 22nd, 2017, I walked into what I thought was an all hands on deck staff meeting, and 250 of us walked out with pink slips. And I was devastated. I mean, this was my career. I had everything mapped out, until retirement. I was 52. You ever look for a job when you're 52? It was hard. It was a hard day. Previous to that, though, I had signed up I had seen something in Illuminating Women, and I had signed up for a hike with Tammy Wilson Smith. And I did not want to go that Saturday to that hike. I had to drive out to Kenmore. Like, where the heck is that? And I really just wanted to pull the covers over my head and not do anything. But you know what? I had said that I was going to go on this hike. And so I got up and I put on my boots, and I drove out to Kenmore and met Tammy Wilson Smith for a hike. And at the end of it, she handed me a flyer and said, hey, if you don't have anything going on in October, join us. And my first event, and I remember thinking, I can't afford that. I apologize, that's going to ring until it goes to voicemail. But I remember thinking, I can't afford this. And yet something inside of me told me that I can't afford not to. That I was at a crossroads. I was at a place that I really needed to make some some real pivots in my life. And I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what my next step was. And so I went to the conference in October, and I walked out with the seed, not the whole thing, right? But I walked out with the seed of a plan, the seed of my why. And over the next few months, my why became so apparent to me. It became so clear to me. It was so in focus. Now I had to sort of, dial that in, right? That I knew that I did not want to go back to a job where I had to ask permission to go visit my ailing mother, my aging mother. I did not want to go back to a job where I didn't set the agenda for my day. I didn't want to go back to a job where I was on somebody else's schedule instead of living life on my terms. I was living life on their terms. And through that process, I knew that the only way that I could make that step forward for myself and for my family, and not go back into a job that was on somebody else's terms, was for me to start my own business, right? To be my own boss. I'm 52. What am I going to do? How do you do that? How do you start a business? What does that even look like? What does that mean? And so, through that process and that evaluation, it's like I need to take forward the one thing I know, the one thing that resonates with me so strongly, the one thing that I know like the back of my hand, and the thing that drives me when I talk to people. And I know that this sounds crazy, but that's insurance. So, yeah, I didn't choose a career in insurance. It kind of chose me. But it's why I was able to step into becoming an agency owner and becoming an agent. It is what I know in my heart. It is what I teach day in and day out. And it is the way for me to take control of my destiny, by owning my own business and being my own boss. And so with that, and I realize that we're sort of we're getting short on time. So with that, what are the 3 things that I want you to take away about insurance? So I'm going to grab my notes. But here are my 3 tips for everyone to take away. Actively manage your insurance. It is a part of your financial portfolio, the same as your investments, the same as your real estate. I bet everybody who owns a house knows exactly how much equity they have in their house, and they know exactly how much, what their market value is on your house. You know what your portfolio is doing, you know what your retirement is doing and your investments are doing. Well, your insurance is part of your financial portfolio, and you need to actively manage your insurance just the way you actively manage the rest of your financial portfolio. So I strongly recommend that once a year, you really do. I know everybody hears it, oh, once a year we're supposed to look at our insurance. Yeah, actually once a year you need to look at your insurance, because your needs change from year to year. Maybe you didn't have kids 2 years ago, or maybe you didn't have grandkids 2 years ago. Maybe you went from owning a larger home to a smaller home, or maybe you went from a smaller home to a bigger home. Maybe you sold, different kinds of properties. Whatever it is, that your needs change, and so your insurance needs to change with you. If you are still driving around, to your point, Jill, as you were talking about, the people on the road, if you're still driving around with state minimums, if you still have 20, 25, 50, 10, and just the abridged version of that is That means that you have $25,000 for any one person that you injure if you're at fault in an accident, $50,000 for all people who are injured if you're at fault in an accident, and $10,000 in property damage to their car or cars if there's multiple. You can see that that doesn't go very far. So if you're driving around with 25, 50, 10, and you own a home and you're at fault in an accident, and so let's just say that you got into a tangle with a doctor in a Tesla, and you did, oh, I don't know, $50,000 worth of damage to that car, and you're driving around with 25, 50, 10, well, your insurance company is going to pay out that $10,000, right? If there's $50,000 worth of damage, who's going to pay the other 40? Well, you're going to get sued, and they're going to look at your assets. And if you've got equity in your home, the equity in your home becomes vulnerable. So actively manage your insurance, know what you need, know what coverages are going to cover your assets. And if you need help doing that, that's what people like me are here for. So happy to have those conversations. Number two, tip number two, make insurance decisions on value, not on price. It amazes me how people will, well, I spent, $1,000 on this TV versus $750 on that TV because look at all the features that I got, right? It was a great value, whether that's their TV or whether it's their shoes or whether it's a service. I go to this hairdresser instead of that hairdresser because I'll spend more money over here because I get such great value out of it. And yet they will shop again and again and again for insurance based on price. But insurance is not fungible. That means it's not interchangeable. Insurance is not created equal. And there are a lot of differences between insurance companies and insurance products. And I encourage you to do research. That's right. During that once a year when you're looking at your insurance, it's okay to shop around. It's okay to figure out what the best value is for your insurance dollar. So you might, for example, I've got a 17-year-old driver and I've got a 15-year-old who's going to be driving soon. So one of the things that's really important to me is claims forgiveness. So I have a policy with claims forgiveness because my 17-year-old or 15-year-old, statistically, one of them is going to get into a fender bender. And that way I protect my rate so that my rate doesn't go up in that fender bender. So I can either pay a little bit more now, or when my kids get into that accident, I'm going to pay more on the back end when my rates go up. And so you can, get things like claims forgiveness and disappearing deductibles. So value, not price. And third, life insurance is the most important coverage you will ever own. I could get emotional again about how important it is. People say, oh, I don't really understand life insurance, or, people have this interesting relationship with life insurance where it's uncomfortable to talk about. They don't really want to talk about it, and they don't really understand it, right? Please come and talk to someone like me. Talk to any insurance agent. I don't care who it is, and I also don't care how much life insurance you have. The most important life insurance you will ever have is the life insurance that you have that's in place on the moment the unexpected happens. Please don't leave your family putting together a GoFundMe page. You can get inexpensive life insurance and help your family through one of the toughest times of their lives. Life insurance is the most important coverage you will ever have. Please consider it. And bonus tip. For that lunch and learn we're going to do someday, business insurance. Business insurance is not adequately covered by your homeowner's insurance. So many small business owners, especially just small entrepreneurs, think that their homeowners insurance covers them because it's got a couple of lines in there about, about business assets. And I'm just telling you, I'm just here to tell you that it is not properly covering you. You need a business policy. And I would be happy to walk you through it, as would any agent. So please, please take advantage of the advice that's available to you. If not with me, with someone else that you trust, an insurance agent that you trust. And with that, we're over time. But
that's okay. You gave us
that
was powerful. You gave us some juicy nuggets. And before we say goodbye here, and then we go on, and the rest of us can chit chat a little deeper here. Those were really powerful insurance points, but also just that connective of watching who it comes into our lives sometimes and how it can make a difference in the change. Part of your why, what you and I had this conversation, you're working very long hours. To be a business owner means, yeah. And you said it's because I have a powerful why. And you shared a lot that I think is empowering. But on those mornings where the alarm clock rings again, you're right back up. You've been doing this 7 days a week,
since December.
Yes. And you've been doing
7 days a week since
long
December.
hours. What is it that gets you to get up and get dressed and get to the office?
Oh, quite, in a way that never did when I was employed. This is mine. This is mine. It's success or failure is my responsibility, and it will not fail. It will not fail. I don't have a plan B. That sounds like a cop-out to me. I don't have a plan B. There is no contingency plan. So the success or failure of my business rests with me, but it's also because I actually have a plan now for the first time in many years of where I'm going to be in 5 years and what that looks like. And if I'm going to achieve that, it takes 7 days a week of the alarm going off at 5:30 and dropping into bed, at 11. And that's okay, because I'm not doing it for somebody else. I'm not doing it for a boss who set an arbitrary deadline. I'm doing it because in 5 years, I want to be able to take that trip to Peru with Illuminating Women. I want to be able to, go to Egypt. I want to be able to do the things that are so important to me without permission. I don't need your permission to live my life. And that gets me up every single morning.
Ah, bravo! That's what I wanted to know. Because that's when your why is that much, it doesn't matter, because you're living in your purpose and you're living in alignment. And I love it. So Kitty, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, I will have it in the video down below right up, but your insurance company is where again? And
yep. Lake Sammamish Insurance. We're in Bellevue, lakesamamishinsurance.com. And the number here is easiest to reach me on my cell, which is 425-748-4288, but lakesamamishinsurance.com.
all righty. Well, we're gonna quit this video, and you can find us here on the Illuminating Women YouTube. Thank you, Kitty, for sharing from your heart. Thank you for being so vulnerable with us. This is what we do here. The rest of us are gonna have a little more chit chat before we're done having our coffee break here. And it's okay, sometimes we go a little longer because it's just too juicy and too delicious. So thank you, Kitty, and blessings and good luck. And we'll see you at Illuminating Women. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks.